Imagine for a second that you spend your entire life building just the ultimate fortress.
Right, like a massive stronghold.
Yeah, exactly. You reinforce the walls with solid steel, you dig a moat that's like 50 feet deep, and you install the most advanced security systems ever conceived.
You're just obsessing over every possible angle.
Right. You spend decades obsessing over every external threat. Dragons, invading armies, natural disasters. You have a meticulous contingency plan for absolutely all of it.
And I'm guessing it actually works.
It does. You survive. You thrive, actually. You become utterly invincible to the outside world. But what happens when the person who finally burns that fortress to the ground
Is already inside.
Yes, when it's the one who already holds the keys to the front door.
Oh, man. It's the ultimate human blind spot.
It really is.
We are so heavily conditioned by our biology to look out at the horizon for danger, to scan the tree line for predators, that we completely forget to check the room we're actually sitting in.
That terrifying shift from this monumental external threat to the quiet internal betrayal, that is the core of what we're uncovering today. So, welcome to the deep dive.
It's a heavy one today.
Very heavy. Today, we are looking at the tragic fall of Iran's greatest mythical hero, Rostam. Our sources point us to a truly harrowing episode from Ferdowsi's masterpiece, Shahnameh.
Which is, it's the great national epic of Iran.
Yeah, it carries so much weight.
A massive amount of cultural and historical weight, right? It's this monumental work of literature that chronicles the mythical and historical past of the Persian Empire.
So we're talking big scales here.
Oh, huge. You have kings navigating complex geopolitics, warlords, magical creatures, and these legendary heroes who basically shape the destiny of the world.
And the absolute greatest of those heroes is Rostam.
Without a doubt.
We are going to explore exactly how this unparalleled champion met his end. And, this isn't just a story about a warrior swinging a sword around.
No, not at all.
It is a profound, deeply uncomfortable look at the devastating power of human envy. Okay, let's unpack this. How does an invincible champion who has defeated literally hundreds of monsters, demons, and vast armies finally fall?
It's the big question.
And the answer is far more relatable and honestly human than you might ever expect.
Yeah, to truly grasp the magnitude of this fall, we really first have to establish just how untouchable Rostam is at this point in his life.
Set the stage for us.
Right, so he has returned to his homeland of Sistan after many years of grueling battles and impossible victories. He's essentially stepping into his golden years.
He's ready to retire.
Exactly. He's done the hard work, he's saved the kingdom from the brink of destruction time and time again, and now he's just living in profound peace. He's universally respected.
He's the undisputed champion of the world at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
He walks through town and the crowds just part. Everyone bows. Everybody knows his legend. But there's a massive shadow cast by all that light.
A very dark shadow. And standing right in that shadow is his half-brother, Shoghad.
Right. And the lore explains that Shoghad was born to Rostam's father, Zal, from another wife. And the contrast between these two brothers, it could not be more stark.
It's night and day.
Completely.
Sure.
Where Rostam is mighty, honorable, celebrated by kings, Shoghad is described as weak, deeply insecure, and just treacherous.
We really have to look at the psychology of that jealousy, too, because it is the engine of this entire tragedy.
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine growing up in a household where your sibling is practically a god.
Right. It would be unbearable for someone like him.
And Shoghad carries the exact same royal bloodline as Rostam. They share a father. Yet, Shoghad possesses none of the glory, none of the strength, and he gets none of the adulation.
He's just invisible.
Entirely invisible in his own home. So he develops this deeply pathological envy. He simply cannot bear the reality of the world constantly singing his brother's praises.
It reminds me of a dynamic we actually sometimes see in modern life, though obviously on a mythic scale here.
Oh, for sure. How so?
Imagine, a legendary athlete, the absolute greatest of all time in their sport. Or maybe a visionary business leader who builds an empire.
Right. Someone at the very top.
Exactly. They dominate their field, they outsmart every rival, and eventually they retire completely undefeated. They step down from the podium entirely untouched by the fierce competition.
Safely out of the game.
Yeah, only to find that the actual fatal threat to their existence isn't a rival CEO or some younger, hungry athlete. It's sitting right across from them at their own family dinner table.
It's chilling.
It really subverts everything you expect about how a legend should end. I mean, you expect the hero to go down in a blaze of glory against a dragon, not, at a family gathering.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what Ferdowsi is doing here is incredibly sophisticated from a psychological standpoint.
How so?
Well, he is establishing early on that Shoghad's weapon of choice wasn't martial prowess. Shoghad could never, ever beat Rostam in a fair fight.
Nobody could.
Right. No one on Earth could. So his weapon becomes proximity. It becomes trust. The tragedy is rooted in the fact that Rostam's massive physical strength is completely useless against a threat he fundamentally refuses to acknowledge even exists.
Because it's his own brother?
Exactly.
It brings up this concept in psychology, betrayal blindness. We literally have mental categories for the people in our lives.
Like sorting them into boxes.
Yeah. Family goes directly into the safe box. Invading armies go into the danger box. Rostam's brain simply does not compute the data that someone who shares his father's blood could actively plot his murder.
It's unthinkable to him.
Unthinkable. And Shoghad recognizes that cognitive dissonance, and he weaponizes it.
He weaponizes his own perceived weakness, too. Because Shoghad is seen as lesser, as unimposing. He flies completely under Rostam's highly tuned threat detection radar.
Which brings us to the actual mechanics of the plot. And I gotta say, this is where the story gets incredibly dark.
Always brutal.
Because how does this quiet, simmering resentment at the dinner table ferment into a physical, lethal trap? I mean, Shoghad doesn't just snap and attack him in the hallway.
No, no. This is a meticulously engineered assassination.
It really is.
It requires immense resources and patience. Shoghad knows he can't pull this off alone in Sistan, surrounded by Rostam's loyal subjects.
Right, he'd be caught instantly.
Exactly. He needs an ally, and he needs a staging ground. So he secretly forms an alliance with the king of Kabul.
And Kabul, at this time, has a very strained relationship with Rostam.
Deeply strained. Kabul is actually forced to pay heavy tribute to Sistan.
Ah, so there's financial and political tension there.
A lot of it. The king of Kabul harbors his own deep-seated resentment toward Rostam, because Rostam represents the overwhelming military hegemony of the Persian Empire.
So Shoghad travels to Kabul.
And essentially offers the king a merger of their grievances.
A merger of grievances, wow, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Shoghad provides the inside access, the ability to lure the target. And the king of Kabul provides the geographical cover, the manpower, and the resources to actually build the trap.
It is a geopolitical conspiracy disguised as a family dispute.
Brilliantly put, yeah.
And together, they engineer this absolute nightmare in the desert near Sistan. They use the king's men to dig a massive, deep pit.
But they don't just dig a hole to trap an animal.
No, they construct a monument to cruelty. They line the entire bottom and the walls of this deep pit with hundreds of razor-sharp spears, swords, and daggers pointing upward.
It is an industrial-scale death trap.
It's like an Iron Maiden buried deep in the earth.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
And the camouflage is masterful. They meticulously cover the opening with branches, earth, and sand so it perfectly matches the surrounding desert floor.
So you can't see a thing.
It is completely invisible to the naked eye. Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the trap itself, no matter how brilliantly hidden, is useless if the target never walks over it.
Right, you still have to get him there.
You have to convince the most battle-hardened warrior in the world to ride his horse over that specific 10-foot patch of dirt in a vast desert.
Good luck with that, normally.
Right. And the way Shoghad accomplishes this is a masterclass in psychological manipulation.
He plays on the exact bond we were talking about earlier.
Yes, he puts on a friendly face. He returns to Sistan, greets Rostam with open arms, and just casually suggests they go on a brotherly hunting trip.
It's so insidious.
He tells him about a beautiful spot in the desert teeming with wild asses. He takes something as innocent, as deeply bonding as a hunting expedition, and uses it as the bait.
The friendly face is the true camouflage in this story.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
The branches and the dirt hide the physical sword, sure, but that warm, brotherly smile hides the murderous intent. It's something you see echoed in modern corporate or social dynamics all the time.
Like what?
Like the disarming smile used by a toxic colleague to get you to drop your professional guard.
Yeah, that false sense of security. But I have to push back on this a little bit, though, because as I absorb this story, I find myself almost wanting to reach across time and just shake Rostam.
Oh, I totally get that.
I mean, this guy is a veteran of countless brutal campaigns. He has survived warlords, magical ambushes, and literal demons. His survival instincts must be dialed to an impossible sensitivity.
You'd think he'd notice something was off.
Are you telling me his instincts didn't scream at him? Why didn't he sense that something was horribly wrong with this sudden brotherly affection?
It is the exact frustration the story wants you to feel. You are essentially watching a train crash in slow motion.
It really feels like that.
But you have to understand that Rostam's fatal flaw here was precisely his greatest virtue, which is his unwavering honor.
Honor blinding him to treason.
Right. To suspect his own brother of orchestrating a complex assassination plot would require Rostam to abandon the very morality that made him a legendary hero in the first place.
He would basically have to become a cynic.
Exactly. You are applying battlefield logic to a domestic environment.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
On a battlefield, Rostam's senses are unmatched. But Shoghad isn't wearing enemy colors. He isn't marching with an army. He is wearing the mask of family.
Wow.
The pit wasn't hidden by the desert sand, really. It was hidden by the illusion of brotherhood. Rostam simply couldn't conceive of a universe where his brother wanted to butcher him.
That trust is his undoing. So Rostam agrees to the hunt. He mounts his legendary horse, Rash.
And we really must pause to fully appreciate Rash, because in the Shahnameh, he is far more than just a mode of transportation.
He's a character in his own right.
Oh, Rash is practically a co-protagonist. He is fiercely loyal, incredibly intelligent, and has been Rostam's steadfast companion through almost all of his legendary trials.
They share an almost telepathic bond, don't they?
They do. They operate as one unit.
They are an inseparable team. So they ride out into the desert, Rostam, Rash, and Shoghad, heading toward this supposedly beautiful hunting ground.
And the trap is waiting.
And as they approach the specific area, Rostam is riding ahead. And this is the moment the bottom literally falls out of the world.
The sudden shift in sensory experience is just jarring.
It's terrifying.
One moment, you're enjoying the open air, the sun, the thrill of the hunt. The next moment, gravity simply vanishes.
The ground completely gives way beneath them.
Yeah.
And you have to picture the sheer mass involved here.
Right, the physics of it.
Rock is a massive, war-trained steed, heavily muscled. Rostam is a giant of a man clad in armor. The camouflage branches instantly snap under their combined weight.
There's no chance of scrambling back up.
None. They plummet into the darkness of the pit, and then they hit the blades.
The sensory details provided in the lore are visceral and, honestly, horrifying.
Yeah, Rash's massive body is instantly pierced by dozens of hidden spears and swords. He screams in absolute agony.
It's so hard to read.
It is. Rostam, too, is impaled from multiple angles, his armor completely useless against the sheer force of the fall onto those upright weapons.
It's a terrifying image of physical violation.
It really is. The hero who has always stood tall, who has always towered above his enemies in the light, is violently dragged down into the dark earth, just pinned like an insect.
And what elevates this from a tragedy to an act of profound cruelty is the detail that follows.
Right, because Shoghad doesn't run away.
He doesn't avert his eyes from the horror he created.
He stands right at the edge of the pit.
Mm-hmm.
He looks down at his brother and this magnificent animal bleeding out on the spikes. And it's noted in the text that he watches them with satisfaction.
It is a profound humiliation of greatness. Shoghad is finally looking down on the brother he spent his entire life looking up to.
It's just sickening.
He has outsourced the killing to gravity and physics, keeping his own hands technically clean, while just indulging in the pure spectacle of Rostam's destruction.
It really makes your blood boil. But even at the bottom of a death trap, impaled on swords, bleeding out from fatal wounds, Rostam proves exactly why he is the undisputed champion of the world.
Yes, he does.
Because he refuses to die a victim.
What's fascinating here is the sheer, unimaginable defiance of his final act.
The ultimate counterstrike.
Right. Shoghad thought he had completely outsmarted the hero. He used deception, engineering, the element of surprise, but he made one massive miscalculation.
What was that?
He fundamentally underestimated the supernatural willpower of Rostam's spirit.
Oh, absolutely. Because in that split second of blinding agony, Rostam realizes exactly what has happened.
The betrayal snaps into focus for him.
Right. He looks up, he sees Shoghad grinning at the edge of the pit, and he understands. And despite having his muscles severed, despite bleeding to death, he reaches for his bow.
Incredible.
He fits a poisoned arrow to the string.
Think about the physical mechanics required to achieve that, though.
And I can't even imagine.
Drawing a heavy Persian war bow requires immense upper body strength under normal conditions.
Let alone while impaled.
Exactly. To do it while your body is pierced by multiple swords, pulling against the friction of the blades inside you, it requires a level of superhuman fortitude that just defies logic.
He draws that bowstring back, aims straight up out of the darkness, and releases the arrow.
It is poetic justice delivered with absolute precision.
Shoghad didn't stand a chance.
Not at all. Shoghad believed he had won because he held the high ground. But Rostam's arrow flies true, striking Shoghad directly in the heart.
Boom!
The traitor is killed instantly, his body often described as being pinned to a nearby tree by the force of the shot. Even from a literal pit of despair, Rostam ensures that treachery pays its ultimate toll.
It's the ultimate refusal to be defeated. He literally reaches out of his own grave to balance the scales.
He does, but, we also have to sit with the deep tragedy of that moment.
We do.
Because punishing the traitor provides a brief flash of righteous satisfaction, sure, but it doesn't change the reality of the trap.
No, it doesn't.
Shoghad is dead, but his venom has already done its work.
Yeah, that brief surge of triumph immediately dissolves back into crushing sorrow. Because Rostam is still at the bottom of the pit, and his life is fading fast.
His time is up.
And this, where the narrative shifts from this intense, violent vengeance to a moment of pure, heartbreaking intimacy. He doesn't curse his fate. He doesn't shout angrily at the heavens or demand to know why the gods allowed this.
He turns his attention to his oldest friend.
He looks at Raksh. He speaks his final whisper to his horse. My dear Raksh, you came with me, even in death.
It is such a quiet, devastating line.
It really is. After a lifetime of massive crowds cheering his name, after being honored by kings and feared by warlords, his final fading words are reserved for the animal that actually stood by his side through the mud and the blood.
And Rosh, who is covered in fatal wounds himself, he refuses to panic.
He just stays there.
He stays completely still, right by his master's side, until Rostam takes his last breath. Only then does the great horse die as well.
Oh, it's so moving.
It marks the emotional and literal resolution of an era. When the news finally reaches Sistan, the people just rush to the desert. The grief that sweeps the kingdom is absolute.
I mean, they lost their greatest protector.
Rostam's parents, Zal and Rudabeh, are driven mad with sorrow. The hero and his legendary steed are pulled from the pit and buried with the highest honors. The entire land mourned for many days. The invincible sun that protected Iran has finally set.
So what does this all mean?
That's the real question.
We have journeyed through this grand, sweeping epic filled with magic, massive armies, and superhuman feats, yet it concludes in a dirty, hidden hole in the ground due to a brother's petty jealousy.
It's a stark contrast.
The core message seems to lie in the immortal legacy Ferdowsi leaves us with. Rostam, the champion of the world, was slain not by a fire-breathing dragon, nor by a towering demon, but by the quiet envy of his own family.
This raises an important question. Why do the greatest legends in human history so often end this way?
You see it a lot, right?
All the time. You look at Achilles falling to an arrow in his heel, or Siegfried betrayed by a leaf on his back. In Rostam's case, it serves to ground a mythical, larger-than-life figure in stark, unforgiving human reality.
It makes him vulnerable.
Exactly. Ferdowsi is transmitting a profound warning about the true nature of evil.
It tells us that the real monsters don't always have scales and claws.
Precisely. Monsters with fangs are straightforward,
You can see them coming.
Right, you can train to fight a dragon, you can forge a sharper sword, build a thicker shield, and you know exactly where you stand when a demon approaches. But human jealousy,
That's entirely different.
that is an invisible, insidious pathogen. It doesn't roar before it strikes. It smiles, it asks about your day, it invites you on a hunting trip.
Wow.
Envy is a poison capable of toppling giants, precisely because it is designed to slip undetected past all of our heavy armor.
It is the one adversary we never run drills to defend against.
Exactly.
We exhaust ourselves prepping for the big, obvious enemies, the dragons in our own lives, the massive career setbacks, the economic downturns, the loud, visible competitors.
We build those fortresses we talked about.
We build our professional and personal fortresses, we put up our steel walls, and we stare out at the horizon. But this ancient text serves as a 1,000-year-old warning flare, illuminating a terrifying truth.
And what's that?
The things that truly possess the power to destroy us are often sitting quietly in the very spaces we consider utterly safe.
It stands as a testament to the unfortunate reality that immense greatness often breeds intense resentment in the shadows.
Shoghad is the perfect example of that.
Shoghad wasn't destroyed by Rostam's actions. He was consumed from the inside out by his own inability to tolerate his brother's light. And in his desperate, pathetic attempt to extinguish that light, he dragged both of them down into the dark.
Such a powerful way to put it. So to quickly recap the intense emotional journey we've navigated today,
We've covered a lot.
we started with an invincible hero, a man who had conquered the known world and earned a peaceful retirement. We watched that hard-won peace get shattered by a meticulously engineered conspiracy born not of enemy military strategy, but of deep domestic jealousy and geopolitical manipulation.
The trap in the desert.
Right. We witnessed the horrific, visceral fall of Rostam and his fiercely loyal steed, Rash. We marveled at the sheer, supernatural willpower of a dying man ensuring a traitor's justice with a single, perfectly aimed arrow.
A truly unforgettable scene.
And finally, we felt the crushing weight of an entire nation's grief.
And through every step of that journey, we saw the brilliant, tragic architecture of Ferdowsi's storytelling.
It really holds up.
It's a masterpiece that reaches across centuries to remind us that the human heart, when infected by envy, is far more dangerous than any mythical beast roaming the desert.
It really forces you to reevaluate how you navigate your own world.
It definitely should.
We spend massive amounts of energy worrying about the obvious loud threats out there on the horizon. But this deep dive serves as a stark reminder that our greatest vulnerabilities are often hidden just beneath the surface of our daily lives, carefully constructed by those we least suspect.
Which leaves you with a rather haunting thought to consider long after you finish listening today.
What's that?
If a legendary hero, a man capable of outsmarting brilliant warlords and defeating hundreds of monsters, was completely tragically blind to the envy festering inside his own brother, what invisible, quiet jealousies might be brewing right now in the familiar, seemingly safe environments around you?
Something to definitely keep in mind the next time you find yourself entirely focused on reinforcing the external fortress walls, completely forgetting to check who already holds the keys.